Hi, everybody. Welcome to Creative Academy office hours for May 16th. And today we are focused on author website stuff, and we're going to do a virtual tour and a commentary on CC Humphrey's website. Thank you for volunteering to be our guinea pig, Chris.
That's all right.
And we're going to work through the new resource which we've uploaded this week, which is a page-by-page website checklist that any of you at home can use to work through your own site as well. Or if you don't have a site built already, you can actually use it to kind of reverse engineer a site. So you can look through the checklist and make sure whatever content you're planning is going to hit all of those points, and you're going to be able to check all of those off when you're done. So first thing I'm going to do is just share my screen and make sure you all know how to find that resource. All right, is that showing up for you, Chris?
It is, yep.
Okay, perfect. So you'll be logged into the Creative Academy site, and if you click on My Courses at the top, that's always the fastest way once you're logged in to see everything you have access to. And then you can see there's all the different sections that are in here, whatever you have access to. And if you click on the member library of tools and tutorials, and the latest thing, we actually created a section called websites and social media and added the author website checklist in there. So if you click on that, there's a brief intro, and then you'll see an embedded version of the resource. And whenever you see one like this, it's so that you can scroll through and you can see what it is and you can decide if you want to download it before you're ready to download. So that just shows you page by page all of the checklist bits. And then if you scroll down a little bit more, you're going to see the actual download link for that. So you're going to want to click on that and save it to wherever it is you like to save things. I'll put mine right on my desktop. And then once that's finished downloading, which it looks like it has, I can just close that window. You want to make sure you're working on it from your desktop or from a local drive so that you can use the fillable functions that we've created. So let me just pull that up for you to see. Okay, so if we open this up, what you will find is that you can, once we get in here, you can actually click on the fields and you can answer the questions right in here. You can see, and just make sure that at the end of whatever it is you're doing, you're going to actually save the file to make sure that you've recorded your changes. All right, so Chris is going to be working on his workbook there, and anybody who's following along can do the same. You can either print it out and actually write on it in pen and ink if you're the kind of person who likes something physical to hold on to. Just skip printing the first page because it's super ink heavy. And then, yeah, we will dig in here. So, 1 second. I'm going to have mine with my guidebook up on one screen and the website up on the other. You are only going to see the first bit, though. You're just going to see the website. Okay. So, Chris, website.
Yes. Yes.
Here we
Now,
go.
if I want to get back to, you're still sharing your screen. If I want to get back to my screen so I can start filling stuff out,
If you hit escape, that should make it not full screen, and then you should be able to have two things side by side.
Right, I'm doing that. It's making that sound, but I'm not actually leaving. Right,
Okay.
view options, exit full screen. I could do that, I suppose.
Yep.
There we go.
That will work too.
Now we're done. So now you're there, and that's my thing. Now I haven't, that's under preview at the moment. Oh, hang on. No, that's right. So I should save this or move to desktop, would that be?
Yeah, if you've got your PDF wherever you're saving it to, you might want to move it to wherever you're going to keep it before you start saving to it.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll have to go and dig it out of your downloads folder again later.
Yeah. So I'll just move it to the desktop now, and we'll be there. Right. There we are.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
So let's start. General thoughts. What are your thoughts when you come to this page, Chris? Your homepage, your landing page.
Well, pity we haven't got another person here who can go, oh, that's such rubbish. But well, you know, I'm aware that it's very old-fashioned. I think, you know, I made this probably 7-8 years ago, and looking at some of the other ones that we've studied, I can't remember if you were the one who sent it out, but BookBub did a good comparison between sort of top websites, and everything seems very bright. And I mean, you know, given that some horror writers will probably be dark, but you know, the pages tend to be bright and very easily clickable. Everything needs to be clickable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, having my stuff at the very top there, which shows all the places you can go, and even having, you know, author, actor, swordsman at the top, and C.C. Humphreys at the top, and all the clicks you can go on. You know, they don't seem very. I don't think it's terribly user friendly. I mean, I think what I need to probably do, and this is what I'm looking forward to working through, is have, you know, the name, you know, C.C. Humphreys' website, and then the book I'm launching and pushing and stuff, or maybe the button immediately to join my mailing list. I'm not sure. Maybe both easily
Yeah.
doable.
Yeah, a combination is good. So yeah, one of the things that sort of current design practice seems to lean heavily towards is what we call a hero image, which is the big banner type thing, like a full width, big, bold, in your face kind of chunk of visual when you first get to a site. And then often that does have a clickable link right inside of it as well. So yeah, most people, you're going to find that is either your sign up for your newsletter, or your get a free read, or your buy my newest release, depending on what your focus is for your author website and what your current big thing that you want them to do is. Because whatever is above the fold, as it would have been in a newspaper, or whatever you don't have to scroll down to see on a website, is what's going to be getting priority in terms of the most people will look at that. People don't look at pages for very long. It's only a few seconds usually, if that. And so whatever it is that you want them to see there, you want them to see it very quickly, and you want the action that they can take to be super immediate. I think
so it's kind of like cover design in that way, isn't it? People aren't going to, you know, they say you've got, you know, less than 7 seconds to grab someone with your cover in a bookstore, for example.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. And they say as well, like, you know, when you're calling it a cover on Facebook, when you have that big banner at the top, it's the same idea. It's an instant jolt of brand. So who are you? What kind of things do you do? What is it that I should pay attention to here? What's going on? So you'll see kind of recurring questions on the checklist of, at the very top of each page, it says, what is the one primary action you want people to take? Because people are inherently lazy and distracted and overly busy. And so if they have to make a decision about what to pay attention to, the decision is usually nothing or something else. They will close the browser, they'll hop onto somewhere else, they'll go elsewhere, which is not what you want. You want it to be so clear on every single page, what is the one thing that you want them to do to continue their experience or their interaction in your world. Right.
So I would say, if I was to answer this first question, and especially as I'm planning on creating something probably quite simple, since I haven't got a lot of time and I'm also quite simple, the landing thing I want to happen is actually not to sign up to my newsletter, but to buy the book, the new book. I'm going to go, you know, Chasing the Wind has landed. And have a click on that to get people to go to. I mean, you'll have to be because as you know, I'm doing indie in the rest of the world, but it's Doubleday in Canada, so I'm going to have two sort of ways to go. If you're in Canada, click here. If you're in the rest of the world, click here, sort of thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or actually, since I have the two different covers, I suppose I could use that, couldn't I? I could put, if you're in Canada, click on this cover. If you're in the rest of the world, click on this cover. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's
Possible.
definitely a possibility. One thing to keep in mind as you're planning is, and for those out there who are thinking about which strategy might work for them, if you don't want to have to change your site every time a new book comes out for the landing page part, and you always want that to be kind of consistent, then you might want to use your freebie or your newsletter sign up or whatever as that feature, because that's going to probably be the same thing for a really long time.
Right.
Versus if you are technologically comfortable and you're fine with changing it out yourself and you've got that level of control, that's great. Then you can consider using your sort of featured book or whatever your new release is. And if you aren't 100% sure which you want to do, you can also put in a slider, is what we call it, when it rotates through. And you could have maybe 3 different things. Say you've got 2 different book series. You might have the newest release in one, the newest release in the other, and a sign up for my freebie, whatever.
Right.
The important thing is to remember that if a next action requires a financial commitment, people are also less likely to take that.
True.
So if you were to set up your freebie and have them, hey, here's a free, intro to whatever, and then in your first email that you send them after they've signed up, you're saying, ooh, you might also want to check out my newest release that's just come out. And so you're just judging, like, if what you're trying to do is sell them on something and they're not bought in yet, you don't have the same relationship built with them yet, you may just get that they just disappear totally. Whereas
Right.
if you can get them on a free thing and then you have a bit of a relationship opportunity to send out to them information about your next release, then that you're more likely to get more people following through on that.
True, except this is, I absolutely hear that. The only difference being here is that I'm probably going to set this up. I think most people are going to find me, hopefully, because they hear about the new book.
Right. Yeah.
And so either they're going to buy it or they're going to want to find out more about it. In this particular case.
Yeah. So then that totally makes sense.
Yeah, I'm thinking you might do that. But also, I mean, if at the bottom, is this possible as well? Can you sort of cover both bases by having the main image, say, being the book, but then underneath you could have something that's quite clearly saying, not sure, want something free, then click here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could do that, right?
Yep. Yeah, you pick your priority, and as long as you know what your strategy is and you tailor the things to fit that, then that's great. I think it only becomes a problem when people are like, I don't know, here's 9 things you can do.
Right, yes. No, I mean, I think you're right.
As long as you're clear on what your strategy is going to be, then you set it up and you test it. And if you look at your clicks and your stats tracking in the back end of your website and you see that people aren't clicking on that, then you change it, right? And so you'll be able to tell when you look at the stats about which links are being clicked on and how many seconds people are spending on that landing page and where they're going. You're going to be able to tell whether or not it's effective.
Right. Sorry, how are you going to be able to tell that?
There is, if you install the WordPress plugin, there's stats tracking.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if anyone's on a privately hosted WordPress site, then you connect it to your WordPress.com account and it will actually tell you all your site stats and break it down. And you can do the same thing. There's Google Webmaster Tools that do the same thing as well.
Right. I did want to ask, I want to progress in the way you want to progress, but I did want to ask you if you'll address the privately, hosted on WordPress versus self-hosting issue.
Yeah, so I think if we start with content and
Yep.
then we'll do a bit of a technical bit at the end, probably what we need is actually a whole separate um,
Ah,
office hours. Like the next office hours probably wants to be specifically about all the technical stuff.
fair enough.
Um, but if you need specific information to get onto your next step, then we can chat about that at the end.
I think I'm going to go for simplicity to start with, and just
Okay.
stay with where I am, build the site and all that. Though my question about if I import the new theme, I don't have to dismantle my one. I can build the theme and preview it, can't I? I don't have to put it up live, right?
You should be able to preview it in the back and customize it before you activate it.
Right, great, good. Okay,
Yeah. Okay. So for each of these pages, there's a few things that come up that are related to branding over content. So
right.
we know that for you, do you feel like the look, the color, the style? I mean, we already know you're going to do a revamp on the design side. So I think we won't spend all of our time on that part, but we'll just talk about construction and content, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and you'll have set up your colors that you're going to use consistently, and choose your fonts that you're going to use consistently, all that stuff.
Right.
um okay, so this one definitely has a lot of stuff going on.
Way too much. And I isn't. I mean, is that
Oh,
part of the
just
problem?
keep going.
Everything I put on the home page is stays on the home page.
Yeah.
This is going back years. And someone did point out to me, why do you have comments on your home page?
Yeah, I think what's happened is it's actually, this is like putting basically your entire website on your front page. This happened with one of the other authors that I work with, and it was like a theme update glitch where it was an older theme that actually broke when WordPress did an update, and it
Oh,
started pulling everything onto the front page as well as keeping it on its own pages. And so assuming that you've been updating your WordPress in the back end, this one might have just been designed to do that, because that used to be like people used to have really a lot on their home pages. That
I think that was it. Yes, I didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, I put them in different places as well, but I never took off all the new stuff as I added more new stuff.
right.
I never took off the old stuff as I added more new stuff. So
Yeah. Okay. Um, so yeah, working through. There's a lot of questions here just about your sign up links and what your next main action is. Is it very clear how they can take that next action in terms of your menus and your follow through buttons and things like that? So another one is, are your social media buttons easy to see and
right,
find? A lot of people, if they're trying to connect with you on another platform, they might just hop to your website and look to click the buttons in the top menu or at the bottom of the page if you have a pretty short main
yep,
page. So that's a
yep,
good one as well.
right.
And is there a clear link to a contact page or a specific way to get in touch with you if they have questions that aren't answered here? Is another good one. So I
Now,
see
would that be different from the book funnel giveaway?
yeah, this is just like if somebody wants to book you for a speaking gig, is there a contact form or your contact info? Or if somebody has a question about the next book in the series, or a reader wants to write to you and tell you how much they loved your stories, how do they reach you? So it is a good idea to have one page that's specifically marked contact, or at least a link in the footer that's findable.
Right, and that would also be on the home page, the landing page.
Well, the main menu is usually going to appear on all of your pages. So
Right,
that might be at the top right. Sometimes it's above the hero image.
right,
Sometimes it's below. Sometimes it's like a sidebar setup, just depending on the design of your site.
right,
Um, but yeah, somewhere in that main list of options. So, standard options are to have a home page, and about me kind of a page. So about the author, your books. If you do have separate series, then you might have either a sub menus of the separate series or the separate genres. Or
like
if
I do here.
Yeah. You have historical fiction, and then it links to your books by that. And then you've got young adult as well, which is great. And these are different series, right, within young adult. So then you've got them
Yes.
broken down. So it is easy to follow that.
Good.
Um, yeah.
So
You
I need something similar to this, but maybe not. But because this is getting in the way of the hero image right at the moment. So I would need something similar to this on the under menu or under the home page, or all this like down the side or something. What would you suggest?
Yeah, well, it just depends on the theme and how it's constructed, but
Right.
most current themes will have it kind of in the top right hand side is where your menu
Gotcha.
often sits, just above that hero image. So you don't need to have a million things in that menu. In fact, it's better if you don't. You just want to have the high level categories of things.
Right.
So
So
those
that
might be, and those are the pages that you'll find in the worksheet that I made. Those are
ah,
sort of the usual ways of breaking down that information. So you'll
right.
see that there is a landing or home page, there's an about the author page, there's a books page, there's a free reads or newsletter page, which is an optional one, but helpful. Some people have bonus material like about their worlds or about their writing process, or they might have maps if they have a town or something, or a recipe site or whatever. So if you have bonus material, that's usually available through a tab. It might be Explore X World. If you do a lot of speaking or you have a publicist, then they might want you to have a media page,
Right.
which
Right.
is, your high resolution headshots that can be downloaded, your current book covers in high resolution they can download. You might have a couple different types of bio that people can use if it's short or long, or if you're doing a talk for writers versus an event for readers, it might be a different bio.
Right. Do you have, could you show me examples of that, Crystal? Because I'm sure
Um,
yours is probably optimized.
I'm just building it, actually. I just signed with a publicist a couple days ago, so
Ah,
I'm actually just making my media page right now. So you will all be able to see it in probably a week or 10 days. I'll be finished, and then
right.
I'll let that out into the world, and you can copy mine. I haven't seen a lot of those that I've liked actually so far.
Right.
So I'm trying to make one that everyone can use as a template if they want it.
Right. Well, great. Um, I see.
Um,
But that also, the media page would be listed under the menu, which is in the top right-hand corner of your home page, correct?
yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
Good. Okay.
So you might have an events page as well. Some people maybe don't have a media one, but they have appearances. You can
That,
also combine those two together depending on, how active you are and what your focus is.
yeah,
Sometimes,
I've got that. I mean, you can see that on my old site. I do have that there, appearances and
yeah. So sometimes people call it media and events. And then that includes your appearances, and it also has the stuff that the people organizing those events might need. If they've invited you to be a presenter, then all your bits are just right there, along with the listing of events you're going to be at,
gotcha.
which is one way to present it. And then there's a blog or news page is the other way to combine those, where you might have articles and updates that you're posting.
Yeah.
And so that's another way to organize that information. And finally, a connect with me or a contact page where you have your information. Now, you may also want to have your contact information combined with your about page, and that's okay. That's totally up to you how that feels in terms of how much information you want on each page. Some people would rather have more menu items but less on each page. Totally a personal choice.
Right. Gotcha.
And often the design of your theme and the space available for the menus will determine that. If you have the full width, then you have more to work with in terms of what you can include in that main menu.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So let's dive into your specific pages now that we know roughly what the overview can be. So your about page is great. You've got a lovely headshot and a nice bio with lots of good stuff, and a video, which is good.
Oh,
And
that's nice.
and it looks like you have a ton of comments actually as well.
Right.
It looks like your pages still have comments turned on, and that's an optional feature in WordPress that you can turn off comments on the pages, which is usually a good idea.
Right. That
Partly
is,
for
yeah.
spam and partly because you can't really control how all that displays then.
Right. So where would people make their comments?
Usually on a blog, if you have a blog,
Okay.
would be more traditional
Right.
in terms of you try to control the interactive space because you do have to monitor it pretty carefully to make sure people are posting the kinds of things you want on there.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and that they aren't kind of oddly impacting people's impressions. If you have like a conference organizer who comes to look at your bio and stuff, you don't necessarily want them to see conversations that you're having with people. You just really want them to have whatever information you're presenting them with.
Got you. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And just as a like an SEO note as well, when you're naming your pages,
Yep.
um, it says about me, which is good, but for SEO, you really want in that title thing to say about CC Humphreys.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then if you want to get personal and you're talking directly to your audience in your bio, that's great. But for findability purposes, if you have your title that includes some of your keywords, that's really helpful.
Sorry,
Especially,
just say that again, Crystal. I'm sorry, I missed that bit. I was typing the other bit.
yeah, the URL at the top, you can see it says about me,
Right.
but the URL gets pulled from your page name when you first make your page. So if
Right.
it's about CC Humphreys, then it's much more findable when people come looking for you. They're more likely to stumble on
Right.
this page.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah, and you can change those URLs in the back end of WordPress. So that can be in our technical
Right.
tutorial stuff.
Okay, good.
But yeah, if you have in your page title here in the bold part, if you have about CC Humphreys and then that translates to the URL as well, then that will just help people find you, which is
Right.
yeah. It also doesn't hurt if you have a really long set of information to break it up into sections. Like some people will write about, you know, their early years and then or what inspired them to get into writing, and then, you know, your books or your publication history or whatever. So if you do have different sections thematically, it can be good for SEO and good for readability on your page to break up the text into sections so that it's not just text block.
Oh, I see. You mean in terms of on this one particularly, like about me, you mean sections?
Yeah. So this might be recent novels or writing for young adults, or, you know, whatever each of those sections is about,
Right.
because you cover a lot of different areas. And people like to skim headings and then read the parts that they're interested in.
Gotcha.
That's a pretty common thing. So, you know, if it fits and it feels like it works for your content, great. It's not a requirement. It's always a stylistic choice. But if you're looking at readability and people being able to navigate around, then you can capture them nicely with different chunks of information.
Right.
Okay. And you've got all your books down the side, right? Which is
Yep.
also good. And a video about how you write, which is great. So yeah, I think that's, like, in terms of content, that's good. It's what you will have to decide is if you want to have everything down the sidebar, or you may just want one image that's
Right.
like your newest book and then another one that's see all of your books. And then that
Yeah.
kind of cleans up the page a bit. And it gives people less things to have to click. So
Right. Yes.
yeah, just knowing what it is you want them to do from this page. Is it that you want them to click on the newest book page, or you want them to click on the all your books page, or you want them to follow you on social media and get connected that way, or maybe you want them to download your freebie. But you
Right.
have to know what that thing is, and that's what has to go in that top right hand position.
Right.
It's important to remember the Z whenever you're thinking about where to put things on a
Right.
website.
Yeah.
We start in the top left, and then we read across, and then we jump down, and then we read across. So
Right.
whatever is in the bottom right is sort of the last thing people are left with, but your top right hand position is your most important spot, because if people are only going to read above the fold and then they're going to click on one thing, then that's
Right.
what you want to keep in mind, is that whatever is before they have to scroll is what they will see for sure. And ideally that will involve one thing they could click to go to explore further.
Right. But that's top right, you say?
Yeah.
Top right on the page, not top right as you're looking at it, if you see what I mean.
Well, yeah. So there's a couple different elements. So most sites will have like a logo and a menu at the
Mm.
very top, and we mostly don't see that because it's the same on every page, and we stop seeing it. Your brain doesn't really count that.
Right.
So that's the default stuff, and with your menu and all your options and your branding or whatever, that it kind of doesn't count. So when I'm talking about the Z, I'm not talking about the menu at the top. I'm
Oh,
talking
right,
about
right, right.
actual page content.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first active slot, it's like a headline on a newspaper. You already know you're reading the Vancouver Sun or whatever, so you don't read that every page you look on, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so let's check out the books section. Okay, so this one is on the main books tab. It doesn't actually have, well, it's got the books in the sidebar, but it doesn't have them on the main part. I'm thinking they're all in historical. Yeah, okay, so they're in the sub pages.
Right. Each individual one is, yes.
Yes. So if you are looking at your main books page,
Right.
whatever it looks like, you probably want to have your covers, like, make it visual. So
Right.
these ones are all text links.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, ideally you want to make sure that your covers are there that lead you into that information, so that you're using.
And clickable, I suppose.
Yeah, the cover should always be a link that takes you to wherever you want them. So usually that's the page that's about that specific book.
Right.
So let's follow one of these. And so this one is going to a series page, which is great. Okay, so there's a lot of information on here, which is good. As you're designing your page, you want to think about how to organize the information on each book page so that they can be similar in structure. So maybe your cover is always at your top left, and then there's a blurb, and then underneath that is what readers are saying or whatever. But if you can set up a consistent structure, then it helps people to know where to look for the information that they want.
Yep.
And then you can also use that to call things out as well, which is handy. And yeah, you do have your sidebar, which I think leads to the pages, right? Back to the book page?
Yeah, it does. If you click on one of the covers there, it'll take you to the page. Yeah.
Perfect. Ideally, you could have your covers bigger a bit, and then you wouldn't need necessarily the title above the covers. You could just have the visuals.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But would you have that on every page, the other books? Probably not, huh?
Well, there's a few different ways to handle that. I'm building actually a new book section now that I have enough books to justify dividing it up more from one page. And there will be a sidebar that has like this family's miniseries and just text links that's on all of the book pages, so that no matter which book page you're on, you can get to any other one just by clicking. but the visuals on the page will all be around that specific book, or if
Right.
there's a freebie in that series, pushing people towards downloading that. But it isn't a bad idea to have a page that shows what you've got, that shows up everywhere. Let me just show you on Alan's, because I think there's a good example of that. On Alan's book pages, oh, and it's a little bit squished on this one as it resizes itself. You can see there's all the books, and on the individual pages there is a click to see all books option in the top left.
Right,
And
gotcha.
a little expander.
Yep.
And then any of those you can click to go to that book's information.
Yeah. So,
So
his is a good example. I remember you showed it to us before, and I really like his layout and everything. So.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's then this is one of the trickier design pieces, is how to integrate that in a way that's available and visible, but not totally in your face and taking over everything.
Right.
So
Right.
some people use sidebars with book images. Like if you have 3 books, then you might just put them down the sidebar as images, and that might be on every page.
Right.
But if you've got quite a library built up, like you've got quite a number of books, so then it might be a text link. It might just be that your menu, with the drop downs, you can always go to any of your books from that drop down menu, right? So as long as your main menu is showing on any page, then you have an ability to get to where you want to be. So that's good. And you do also you've got quite a nice selection of covers from different countries. So another option is to have that main cover slot that's nice and big, to have that as a rotating carousel as well, is another option. If you want to show multiple covers,
right.
Then you can have that rotate.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, just the main thing is streamlining the visual pathway. So if you imagine that you've walked into a forest of Chris's books, and where is the path going to lead me and why? Like, you want it to be deliberate, where you're pointing people's eyes and where you're pointing their mouse clicks as well.
Right.
So let's see, where are your buy links?
I have no buy links.
Yeah, so what we're missing here is, if I want to buy this book, I want to click on a button that says buy from Amazon, or order from iBooks, or get it from Indigo, or whatever. And some people will do individual buttons to the different stores and then just have those in the same place on every books page. And other people will have the universal book links.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. The universal book link from draft to digital, right?
Yeah, which is great, because then it's buy this book, and that's all. You only need one button. They click it, they pick what store they want, and it's going to show them all of the available options.
And it's country specific as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is really good.
Yeah, exactly. So those are magnificent. I highly recommend everybody uses those wherever possible.
Well, my plan is now to, I got all bound up in I can only press publish on the day itself and all that. But I've talked to a few people, and I am going to set it up for pre-order, but not very long ahead. And I'm not going to publicize it until launch day. So I doubt I'll get any pre-orders, or relatively few. And that way I can have everything set up, and I'll have the book links, and they'll be in the back of the book and all that stuff.
Perfect.
So,
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any more questions about the book page specifically?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think I like that, what you said about the image, and obviously the buy.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I'm going to be playing with stuff because, yes, I do want to obviously sell people books, but I'm not going to be putting my YA books up, or some of the other, because those are the ones I'm going to go indie with next.
Right.
So, and you can't get hold of them anyway. There's no point. There's no, they're not available to buy unless you buy them secondhand. So I'm not going to let people do that, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway,
So romance authors are a great place to jack ideas about how to organize large volumes of books because they're often very prolific.
right.
So this one is Marie Force's website, and I think it's just an interesting, like when you click on her main books page, this is what you get. So
Mm,
there's an option to pick a series from the logo that goes with that series.
right.
She's got different listings or different, a printable book list or book reviews or boxed sets. So there's ways to navigate through specific types of things. And, in your case, that might be by like YA or different type of genre or
Mm,
however you
mm.
want to divide it up. And then you have a visual sort of menu of all of those books as well. And you can see them kind of organized by series as well.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an option. If you can, but what you want is on one visual page, you want poof, here's all Chris's books.
Right.
So that without having to navigate a whole bunch down, you want to
Right.
minimize the number of clicks people have to make. Because again, it all goes back to people are lazy. So
Right.
if you can have people clicking on your books page and they have an immediate option to go to whatever it is they wanted to go to,
Right.
all in one place, and it also helps with the oomph of your cachet, I guess, or your establishedness in the industry. To see all of your works in one place,
Right.
it's like, ooh, these are all the things they made. Okay, excellent.
Right. Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, particularly if you have some solid branding, it will give you a sense of what you're all about and get you immediately connected into the thing you want to get connected into.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So for this one, okay, and so this is again, it's a books page that's ended up on its own tab, but that was to feature it because it's the new one, I'm guessing.
That's right.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you'd have removed that because you probably have it in a giant hero image with your buy the book now at the top.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
excellent. Okay. So blog, and the
Yeah.
biggest thing for blog pages, I think, is having a way for people to navigate around in the content. So normally on a blog page, I would say to people, you want to have some category links or an archives or something. Categories are ideal because it's by topic usually.
Right.
Um, and then at the top, you might have your newest release in a nice big image. So again, it boils down to, why did you want people to come to your blog? So
Right.
yes, you want them to read the article, but in the sidebar or along the top or at the end of every article, ideally all of those, you want to have an action they can take, and that should
Yeah.
be a consistent action. Again, whatever you're trying to drive people to. So,
Yeah. No,
if that
it's a good way
checkout
to
leads or whatever.
think about it. You always want them to take an action at the end of it all.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, okay, and so yeah, for this one, you'll have a totally different blog theme and everything else, and it'll look completely different with your new setup. So, keeping it visual is great. You do have pictures in here, which is wonderful. And then just simplifying your sidebar so that, again, that clear action is there to be taken. And this is a general commentary on blogging, I guess. You should also, for your blog page, you want to know what the action is, but you also want to know why you're blogging.
Mm-mm-mm.
And know your goal and know your audience. So, are you blogging to other writers or are you blogging to readers? What is it that you're sharing and why?
Right.
Because you don't want to mix your audience too much, and you don't want to have a confused next action. If your goal for bringing people to your blog is because you want speaking engagements and you're trying to show them that you are a craft writer who is a good teacher and is sharing what they know, that's a very different blog than if you are bringing a reader there because you want them to be interested in the next book. Like, just knowing who your audience is for those posts.
Right.
Um,
Which
and
I've never Yeah, I've never really done that. I've just sort of occasionally sort of gone, oh, here, there's this, rather than with any purpose behind it all.
Right. Yeah. So, it's worth it just to think about what it is you want out of the time you spend doing that. And I mean, posting anything will help to boost your SEO because it gives you fresh content on your site, and that is really important. So that's good. And the images that you put in your blog posts will act to bring people there too, because if you've labeled them properly, all of that stuff helps your findability.
Right.
But you do just want to make sure that you know why you're posting and who you're posting to, and that you're staying reasonably on target. Or at the very least that you have categories down the side that say, articles for writers, upcoming events, book news, or whatever, so that if they get there and they want to see more of what they wanted to see, they can just click something that curates that information for them. They don't have to read everything to find that.
Right.
Okay. So appearances.
Which I haven't put in anything, and it's all old stuff, so I must go back.
Yeah.
I've got two big appearances coming up, so I must go in and do that straight away.
For sure. And I do find, like, some people delete everything they've done, but it can be useful to just push those down on the page and have your current ones at the top and say, like, past events or whatever, or leave it sorted by year, because sometimes if you're looking for speaking gigs and things like that, sometimes people will come and they want to see what else you've done. They want to know that you're getting booked for other things, and that helps them determine sort of where you're at in your career. And it's a social proof thing. It's like reviews on books, if you see other events you've been part of, it makes them feel confident that you're equipped and ready to do that. So
right.
Like any media, you need an article to get another article. It kind of feeds off itself, and that's the same kind of thing with those bookings and appearances. So
right, yes,
yeah, definitely. And then galleries.
Yeah, that again, something that I started but never really followed up much with. Yeah.
Okay, fun. So that's sort of your, like, when we were talking about, bonus materials or whatever, that's kind of just a fun thing. But from galleries, I wouldn't have necessarily, I mean, you can kind of figure it out, but just as a general note, when you're naming pages, the more clear you can be about that. Are they all themed around, like, fight pictures, or are they all different?
They're all different, really. There's research, and there's
the unicorn rides.
Oh, what's that? Oh, there we are.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So, just thinking about where you're pushing people to, and sometimes it makes sense to make one of those pages a subpage. So it might be part of your blog, or it might become part of About Chris. I think Susan Nielsen has a very funny one in her like bonus features or deleted material. That's all her haircuts that were crazy over the years. She had some varied stuff. So, whatever it's going to be, you can fit it in where it makes the most sense. If your bonus features are about your books, then that's different than if your bonus features are about you as an author. Right? So, and I think you've done some of that already. Like, you've put the video about why you write on the About Chris page, which is perfect. So just making sure that wherever you are putting stuff, it does, like, make logical sense, and it fits with the things that are there.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that is all your pages. I'm thinking you probably want to work through your sheet on your own, because it's mostly going to be what you're going to do as opposed to referencing what's here. So that's good. And for everybody at home, they can do the same thing. Let's bring up that theme that you were looking at, though. It's Odin, right?
No, it's Odrin, I think.
Odrin. Okay.
Yeah. I just pulled it up yesterday. Yeah, there you are.
Okay. And yeah, I took a look. It's a really nice one. It looks great.
It does look good. Yeah. And it's $64, which doesn't sound too expensive.
Nope. Okay. So yeah, this is a demo page. So you can see it's got a logo slot. It's got a space for the main menu and an option to buy the theme. And you can see there's two options in the hero
Right.
image for actions to take. So that's good. Could be get a free book and, buy a new release or buy Chasing the Wind or whatever you want to have. And yeah, this one does have some really neat features with some of the bookshelf stuff, and that it will make your book appear 3D for you. You don't have to do that to the images before you upload it. It'll take care of it, whichever one you're looking at. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it has a lot of neat stuff, adding chapter previews and things like that.
Yeah, and events page and stuff.
Yeah. So this one's really set up to work for authors, which is fabulous.
Good.
I am going to go out on a limb, having worked with an awful lot of these themes. It is not going to look like this out of the box.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So just a word of caution to everyone out there. The demo pages for the themes are what they can do, and they're not always super forthcoming about how much shortcode is required to get it to that point. I think this one's pretty solid in terms of like the page templates are set up, but yeah, just having an expectation that this will not be an instant process and that will be a learning curve involved.
Right.
So
well, I'm used to that. I mean, it took me. I remember learning to do the first WordPress one I did took me a week to really sort of, and a lot of bashing my head against the computer. But they also do have when you buy it, you do have a help line.
Yes.
So
exactly.
So that's good.
And that was going to be my next thing, was just make sure wherever you buy your theme from that they do provide support, because a lot of them don't. And so there's a few of the larger companies that have great tech support, and that's sort of saved me I don't know how many times. So just to be aware that you should check when you're buying a theme that they are a company that's been around for a while, so that you know that they will keep supporting the theme, because as WordPress does updates, you need to update your themes as well on a regular basis. So whatever theme you're looking at, make sure it is going to be supported on an ongoing basis, and that they actually have tech support, or forums, or a help email or whatever that you can contact.
Well, they say they do. How would I know that all that was true?
Oh, if they say they do, then I'm sure they do, or people would have left horrific reviews about their customer service already, and you'll find out. It's usually just about buying it from a reputable company, as opposed to just somewhere you downloaded a free one off the internet. Sometimes those are not. Those are not fully supported. But ThemeForest is a well-established company in the industry, so you're probably fine if you're with those guys. Good. And this one they've clearly put some funds into setting it up as a thing. So yeah.
No, I shall. When I come back from Burnaby, I think I'll have a week to do various things. So in order and get my thing up as well. So I think I'll have time to do that then. So
perfect. Yeah, I'm curious to see how it all comes out. I think it'll be pretty impressive. You've got really nice, bright, excellent dynamic covers, and so if you give them a space they can pop into and get those images front and center and boost it up, they can't help but make you look like a pro. So
well, let's hope so. Yeah, it's all the countdown's on, Crystal. So I'll probably come into office hours and talk a bit more about that. Certainly the week before, when I'm about to press go and all that. It's probably going to be interesting for other people as well. I would think that I'm reaching the point. I know there's going to be stuff I've left out, and maybe I'm going to put a checklist together basically, and I hope you don't mind. I'll run it by you. You can say, well, you could also do that maybe, or we can discuss in one office hours if you like.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the next office hours I have on my list to talk about launch strategies. And
good. Well, there we are. Perfect.
How you make the choices of which platforms you want to be in, and whether or not to pre-order, and
Is that next week? That's a morning one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Great.
Yeah. So I think we're pretty much out of minutes. But
Yeah.
did you have a question though about publicly versus privately, or you decided you're just going to go with
I'm going
your?
to go. Let's save that one.
Okay.
My brain won't take any more in terms of organizing it before then. So I'll just stick with what I have. And then I know remember I ran that woman was offering to do everything for me, and she was keen on me self-hosting, but she was going to set that up and teach me how to do it. So I think it's more work, and I've been reading blogs that say it's more work, but there are benefits. So
Yeah. If if you can install this theme through wordpress.com, then go for it. Like if
you
it's
can.
one that you can buy, yeah, then I'd say totally do that for now. You can always move your website from the publicly hosted to privately hosted down the road.
Right.
You can even, they have techs you can pay like $100 or something. They'll do it for you,
Right. Good.
which is fabulous. And there's a couple great tools that we use that are super easy to move a site as well. So, just stick with what you're comfortable with and get the highest leverage is not from the back end stuff. As
Right.
long as you can do what you're trying to do where you are, then do it there and
Okay.
focus on the front facing side of things until you're finding that it can't do what you need it to do.
Absolutely. That's what I'm
Yeah.
going to do. Yeah. One step at
Awesome.
a time. Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thanks, Chris. And thanks everybody else who's listening after. And I know there's a few. And we will see you next week at 12 o'clock. And we're going to talk about launch strategy. So we'll see you all there.
Bye. Bye.